So this class mostly is about Vrindavan and Shiva and Vrindavan and glorifying Radharani in Vrindavan and becoming a gopi, as we see here in this picture. Shiva is Gopi Shwar. So another, because Shiva is very much present in Vrindavan. Shiva has been here for thousands of years. There's a famous temple in Mathura. There's 5 Shiva lingas in Vrindavan. They've been here for 5,000 years. And their worship was established at least 5,000 years ago. At Mathura we have Bhuteshwar. Bhuteshwar is the Digpal for the southern side of Mathura Mandal, because that's the south, Mathura side. And that Shiva linga is called Bhuteshwar. It means the controller of the ghosts and spirits, Bhutas and Pretas and subtle beings. They have a lord or a master, Ish, who is Shiva. An interesting part of that temple, 10 meters below the ground, there's a cave underneath Shiva linga. And it's a Murti of Patal Devi, who is Durga. And that Murti and the linga are very, very ancient. Patal Devi is much older than the linga. Patal Devi was installed by Kamsa. Because generally when you want to get power by worshipping Devi, you should worship a Devi Murti, Durga Murti, Parvati Murti that's very deep underground. Because she represents Dharani, she represents Shakti, she represents Earth. She represents the material energy. The Earth is a personification of material energy. So, some total material energy is contained within the Earth, water, fire, everything's on the Earth. So Patal Devi is 10 meters below the Earth, and the stairs go down there. There's a million mosquitoes there also. You get bitten like crazy when you go down there. I've been there. And because it's dark and it's cool. So mosquitoes like the cold because it's very hot in the summer in Mathura. Oh, I'm not recording. Bhuteshwar and Mathura we're talking about. So Patal Devi is 10 meters underground in a cave. And Kamsa used to worship Patal Devi to get power. So with that power and blessings of Durga, you're able to conquer Indra and the whole universe practically. So many demons, I don't know about Indra, but so many demons he conquered. Big powerful demons. And they became his servants. So Bhuteshwar the deity was installed, Bhuteshwar, she was installed by Krishna's great-grandson 5,000 years ago, Bhadranath. Interesting point that the Mahajans of Gaudiya Sampradaya say, Mahajan Vani, that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying at Akrura Ghat, which is halfway between Mathura and Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu was every day going to Bhuteshwar to take darshan. As you know, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu toured India, he stopped in every major Shiva temple, beginning with Lingaraj in Bhubaneswar. When he entered Orissa from Bengal, first major Shiva temple, Lingaraj, he went there, and every temple you can imagine in South India he went to, and all over the place. So he was going to Bhuteshwar every day, and then from there he was coming to Vrindavan, to Imlitala, and chanting on the banks of the Yamuna. You can see that place there, it's famous. We went there also. There's a Murti there of Chaitanya under Imli tree, which is a baby descendant of the original tree, which has become unmanifest. So that's the deity of the south side of the Tiramandal, Brajmandal. The east side is Gopishwar. Everyone knows the story of Gopishwar. We narrate briefly. Gopishwar was, he's established there in Vamshivat because he entered there to Rasila and became a gatekeeper, became a protector, protects anyone who has Purusha Bhav, can't enter Vrindavan unless you get the mercy of Gopishwar. That's why so many people worship Gopishwar. Gopishwar is the most popular deity in Brajmandal of Brahmins, Vaishnava Brahmins, because most Vaishnava Brahmins that are born and live in Vrindavan have the idea of Gopi Bhav. Sakhi Bhav, Kanta Bhav, Gopi Bhav, Manjri Bhav, etc. and they all want to get free from any Purusha. They all want to attain Gopi Swarup, Sakhi Swarup, and they know that Shiva is very powerful and merciful and easily pleased. So every Monday you'll see all the famous gurus, acharyas, and Goswamis from all the temples of Vrindavan in the Ishvara temple. I've been there many times doing puja on Monday when I lived in Vrindavan. I saw all the famous acharyas from Bhakti Vihari, Radha Raman, Radha Govinda, Radha Damodar, everywhere. All the famous gurus from Radha Vallabha and Radha Raman and acharyas all coming there to worship Gopi Ishvara on Monday to get Gopi Bhav. So he's there protecting the east side. On the north side we have Nandishwar. Nandishwar is a very interesting story about Shiva, how he ended up on the top. He ended up living with Krishna. What a great fortune he got, because he just came for darshan. He ended up moving into Krishna's house, into the compound. One day when Krishna was living in Nandagram as a young boy, 10 years old, with Yashoda, Shiva came from Kailash to have darshan. And when he got to the gate of the compound, the servants came to tell Yashoda that there's some yogi who wants to have darshan. And so Yashoda went out to meet the yogi who wanted to have darshan. Yashoda thought he looked too scary. He had all skeletons around his neck. Skulls around his neck. And on his arms he had cobras, and he was wearing a tiger skin and ashes and a big pitchfork and stuff. A tree shovel.
Pitchfork.
Tree shovel. He was like noisy, crabby. Some marbles tied on a drum, terrible sound, like destruction of the universe sound, Da 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 da. Like, not nice, So scare a kid to get scared, She said, no thank you. No darshan today. So Shiva went away unhappy, crying. He went down the bottom of the hill over near Terrakadamba, and he sat. There's some river there, I forget, maybe Yamuna, I don't know what it was, but he did bhajan there and prayed for it to get Ashirvad, get some blessings from Yashoda and Krishna, get darshan. So meanwhile, when he was denied darshan, in Nandalal's bedroom, baby Krishna, Gopal, it wasn't a baby actually, young boy, Gopal, Govinda, started crying ceaselessly, relentlessly, and nothing could stop him. Yashoda tried everything she could do with tricks and milk and food and sweets and Madan Gopal. She wrote Madan Gopal, even Madan Gopal couldn't make him stop crying, couldn't make him laugh, because he lives there in the house with her. So she called in the Brahmins for some advice to check his chart out. Maybe he's in Rahu. Maybe Krishna's passing through Rahu or Ketu. No, he's in good stars now. He's in Jupiter and Venus, He said, well, why is he crying? He said, maybe he made some offense. He said, maybe somebody put some curse on, some nazar or something. He said, no, I got a black string tied around his belly, man. Krishna had a black string tied around his belly with a little bell on it. And, he's black anyway. Nazar can't touch him. His whole body is anti-Nazar, So they said, I don't know, somebody came and went away unhappy or something. And did they say anybody came to visit you? She had some yogi, some guy. What he looked like? Oh, he's carrying a tree shawl and skulls and cobras and stuff. He said, "That's Shiva." I know who he is. He looked terrible. I'm not going to let him see my son. Yeah, but you know, what's the big deal? You know, I want to see you keep crying. I want to have darshan. So yeah, that's the problem. Okay, go find him now. So I went to find Shiva. They made a murti there to celebrate Shiva's tapa there, called Ishvara Mahanidhi. The Mahanidhi was seeking for Ashirvad, seeking for blessings, seeking the blessings of Yashoda and Nandalal Krishna in Nandagram. When you go to Terakadamba, you usually visit there also. It's nearby, the Ishvara Mahanidhi. So then Shiva came back for darshan second time, and Yashoda gave him darshan. And Krishna stopped crying and started laughing and smiling. And Shiva gave him a ladu, and he smiled more. And then, so then Yashoda said, "Listen, Yogi Raj, Adi Yogi, what can I do to make you happy and pleased with me?" He said, "Listen, just make arrangements so I get a little Mahaprasad from your baby every day." So he said, "Okay, I'll make sure that's it." So now then they gave Shiva a place in the house. They installed a Shiva Linga right outside the house in the northern direction towards Kailash. In the north part of the courtyard is the Nandishwar Shiva Linga. So every day the bhoga is offered to Krishna, over to Narayan, then to Krishna and Balaram and Mansukh, who is Madan Gopal, and Sridham is there also, and then Nanda, and then Yashoda, then it goes to Nandishwar, then it goes to everybody else. So that's the story of Nandishwar. Nandishwar Mahadev ki jai. Some devotees of Braj Mandal, every Chaturasi, they take a vow to have darshan of all the Pancha Mahadevs on Chaturasi. I've never done it. I've done it mentally many times, but not by physical. It's quite a journey. They start with Mangalartik and Bhuteshwar, then they come to Govishwar, then they go to Vankandi Mahadev, also down the road in Vrindavan, and then they come to Chakaleshwar, then they go to Naneshwar, and then they go to Kameshwar, and back to Mathura. They're from Mathura, Vrindavan. Quite a grind, but that's really a lot of Shiv Bhakti there. Some people on just Shiv tourists, they go to Kedarnath, Adi Kedarnath. You ever gone there? Because they feel like they're going to have Kedarnath darshan in the Himalayas. You know. My British Radha couldn't go to Kedarnath because it's not that far from here. Because it's on the west side of this side. So now who's left? We have Chakaleshwar. So Chakaleshwar is in Mansi Ganga Gaura. He's protecting the middle of Braj Mandal. It's in the center of Braj Mandal. Anything negative in the center will be destroyed by Chakaleshwar. So who is working for us? Chakaleshwar. Who's working for you?
Gopal.
Okay. Who's working for you? That's my question. Who's controlling you? That's when you're under control of somebody. We're going to put you under control of Govishwar. So, Chakaleshwar, it's called Chakra Tirtha. There's two stories about that Shiva Linga there at Manasi Ganga. His son Goswami, when he came to Vrindavan, he had a particular attraction to Shiva Lingas. He often did his bhajan near Shiva. In Nandagram, he did bhajan near a Shiva Linga by, what do you call it? Kavan Sarovar. There's a famous Shiva Linga near his kutir there. And when he went to where he's living, thank you. He used to walk from the top of Drasaditya down the hill and across town to see Govishwar every Monday, take darshan. So one day, Govishwar appeared to him halfway through the forest, through the little forest there. And he said, why are you coming so far? I'll manifest right here for you. I'll manifest here, you just do your puja here. So he became Bankandi Mahadev, who is right near Murari Gupta Murti of Pishima Gaurni Thai Temple. In Noy Bazaar, there's a Bankandi Mahadev temple, who is Swaprakat self-manifested to Sanatana Goswami 500 years ago. So Chakleshwar, there's two stories. Sanatana Goswami when he went to Govardhan, because according to Shastra, and Sanatana Goswami was a strict knower of Shastra, he and Gopal Bhatta compiled Hari Bhakti Vilas and all the rules and regulations of Bhakti Vajan, which were outlined by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally to Sanatana Goswami, described in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya. So what was that? The outline that was given by Lord Chaitanya directly to Sanatana Goswami. The details were filled in by Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and they produced together, Gopal Bhatta and Sanatana Goswami produced Hari Bhakti Vilas. In there it says if you're going to do Prikrama of Govardhan, you should start by bathing in Manasi Ganga and end in Manasi Ganga. Of course, people start wherever they're living, the general tendency. We live at Govinda Kund, they start at Govinda Kund, and then Govinda Kund. But Sanatana Goswami was considering himself not a resident of Govardhan, he was considering himself a resident of Vrindavan, going on a yatra to Govardhan to do a specific function, to live here for some time, do Prikrama. He lived for a few years. So then he followed the scriptures of settling in Manasi Ganga, and again he chose to settle by a Shiva mandir. Because he liked Shiva very much. For some reason, the affinity for Shiva. So that temple of Shiva called Chakleshwar was at one time called Chakreshwar, because when Indra was making all the rain flooding Vrindavan, the floodwaters were rising everywhere, threatening to go underneath the Govardhan Hill and flood everybody who was hiding under the Govardhan Hill. So then Shiva raised his trident, and his trident turned into a chakra. Shiva raised his trident and turned into a chakra, and the chakra burned up all the water, evaporated all the water that was flowing from the sky. That's one story about it. So that chakra that became Chakra Tirtha became the Shiva Linga to celebrate the Chakra Tirtha. The chakra was a Trishul of Shiva, became a chakra. The other story is that Krishna released his own chakra and his Vishnu from his Vishnu form, and the chakra evaporated all the water. So there's two stories about the appearance of the Shiva Linga, of the place called Chakra Tirtha, which is on the north bank of Manasi Ganga. It's either Shiva caused it or Vishnu, Krishna himself caused it. So now that he's protecting the center. Now the west direction of Rajmandal is protected by Kameshwar. Where that Leela took place, I don't know. Maybe Kailash, I guess. Must be Kailash. You know the Leela of Shiva burning up? Because that was after his wife, what was her name then?
Sati.
Sati. And then he became Parvati later. So Sati was the daughter of Daksha in the fourth canto, and she was the wife of Shiva, and she burned up and gave up her body by Yoga Agni in this Daksha Yajna because her husband was offended. And Shiva went home to Kailash alone without Sati and did tapasya. Then Sati took birth from the daughter of Himalayas, became known as Parvati, and did yajna and puja to worship Shiva, to get united with him, again be his wife and consort. And so to create some desire in Shiva, who is desireless, he's liberated, eternal personality, he has no desire for anything of this world or anyone of this world. So Kamadev went there to incite him with desire, and he got disturbed in his samadhi and opened his eye, his third eye, and burned up Kamadev. And that happened in Kailash, and somehow to celebrate that Murti in that Leela, Krishna's great-grandson Bajranath established in Kameshwar, in Kamyavan, a linga of Kameshwar. Now this linga is very old because the linga was already there before King Bajranath. It's much older than Krishna Lila. So because in different kalpas, Vrindavan, the center of Braj Mandal, what we know as far as Vrindavan, all Vrindavan Leelas, was in Kamyavan. That's why they call Kamyavan Adi Vrindavan. They call Kamyavan Adi Vrindavan because all the Leelas were there. There was none of Bhava's palace was there, and all the Leelas, the coward boy Leelas, everything acted there. Enacted there. That's why when the famous Murtis of Vrindavan, when they went to Rajasthan, they stopped in Radhakund, then they went to Kamyavan. That's why in Kamyavan you have temples of Radha Govinda, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Gopinath. Major, all the deities stopped there and established memorial deities and temples of the visit of the Murtis from Vrindavan there. So that Kameshwar deity, Vrindavan Maharaj, who was also living in Kamyavan in some particular kalpa, he worshipped that deity because he wasn't having children. There's a parallel between Nanda Maharaj and Vrindavan Maharaj, but both of them didn't have any children for a long time, for some reason. Nanda Maharaj didn't have a son till he was 100 years old, and Yashoda was 80 or 90 years old. There was no children. So everybody was worried about that. And I don't know how old Vrindavan Maharaj, but he was also had no children. So he was worshiping Kameshwar to pray that I would get a child. So he got Sridham, and then he got Radharani and Nangamantri, all became his, of course, children. So that's the story of Kameshwar. He protects, and he's a very powerful deity because he fulfills that every desire. Whenever you stand in front of Kameshwar, whatever you're thinking or desiring, it'll be fulfilled. So it's a dangerous place to go. So that's it.
Wow, that was good.
Bam Bam Bole, Om Namo Shivaya, Hari Om Namo Shivaya, Om Namo Shivaya, Om Namo Shivaya.
Jai!
Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev.